Hi everyone, it's Chris and welcome back to another video. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to continue my series I call Favourite 5, where I share my favourite 5 records in a variety of categories for any one band or artist. Today it's Iron Maiden, possibly the most influential and successful heavy metal bands of all time. They were formed in '75 by Steve Harris, the bassist and primary songwriter, and this band were real pioneers of the new wave of British heavy metal in the late '70s, early '80s. Known for their kind of twin guitar, the galloping bass lines, epic storytelling, and of course their mascot Eddie. They have a real brand and a real sound that hasn't changed much, and therefore they've got a really loyal global fan base, and they're a really successful band, and these are my favourite 5 albums by them. So at number 5, gone with Peace of Mind. This is from 1983. Features new drummer Nico McBrain. I saw him on the Killers tour in 1980. He wasn't with this band, he was with the support band Trust. Met him after the show, lovely guy. Now this is a great album. It's slightly more progressive, I think, than others that they've done prior to this, and it's got themes running from war to literature. The production is pretty crisp, songwriting is much more refined than previous albums. It's got The Trooper on it, which is one of their most iconic songs, I think, with that galloping kind of rhythm. Fantastic solos on here from Adrian Smith and Dave Murray, great guitarist. Revelations is a kind of a good kind of spiritual song. Flight of Icarus is a soaring anthem. Where Eagles Dare, that opens the album, has got that thunderous kind of opening and real complex drum patterns. You know, Nico McBrain really signals his arrival. This is an album of quite a lot of depth and quality. I think it balances aggression with melody, and I think Nico McBrain's drumming really does add a new dimension to the sound of that band. So that's at number 5. At number 4, gone with Power Slave from 1984. Lineup of this band is Bruce Dickinson, Steve Harris, Dave Murray and Adrian Smith, and Nico McBrain on drums. And this is probably, at this point, their most ambitious record that they had recorded. I love the kind of the artwork. I think is fantastic, the Egyptian themed artwork, and that formed the stage set, I think, for a while. And it gives a real, and this whole album has got a sense of kind of complexity and grandeur. Aces High, that kicks off the album, a real high octane opener about aerial combat in World War II. Was a concert opener as well, fantastic song. 2 Minutes to Midnight, one of their kind of anthems. Power Slave is a kind of Egyptian inspired epic with really soaring vocals from Dickinson, some brilliant guitar work. Smith and Murray are a great combination, they really are. And then Rime of the Ancient Mariner, 13-minute progressive metal masterpiece based on Samuel Coleridge Taylor's poem Rime of the Ancient Mariner, which incidentally was written about 5 miles up the road from here. But this is this really showcases their ability to craft multi-layered epic songs without losing their edge, I think, and inevitably, of course, it's one of the most celebrated albums. But that's at number 4 for me. At number 3, I've gone with 1982's Number of the Beast. This is the first album with Bruce Dickinson, the last album with the drummer Clive Burr, and I think the arrival of Bruce Dickinson really transformed the sound of Maiden. He was previously in Samson, did a couple of decent albums with them. Fantastic singer, kind of brings a theatrical edge, I think, to what he does, and is visually just, you know, like mad when he's on stage. Got so much energy, he's got a great voice, a real range. And this album, I think, really catapulted them to international fame with its mixture, which is a hallmark of Iron Maiden, its mixture of melody and power and epic storytelling. This is the album with Hallowed Be Thy Name, which is not just a Maiden classic, it's a heavy metal classic. Number of the Beast is this theatrical anthem. I do think that Bruce Dickinson really brought that theatrical element to the band. Run to the Hills, galloping kind of classic. You know, Steve Harris. I tire a little bit of the galloping bass line, a little bit, if I'm honest. Lots of their songs start with that, but you know, it's got that kind of sound to it. But this is an all-time heavy metal classic. It's got energy, it's got creativity, a vocal power, which you know, Dickinson really brought to this band. And an album that solidified their place in rock history, I think. It's a great album. At number 2, remember, this is my favourites, not the best. These are my favourites. My second favourite is 1981's Killers. This lineup has got Paul Di'Anno. So this has got Steve Harris, Smith and Murray, Clive Burr on drums, Paul Di'Anno on vocals. It builds on their debut. It's a little bit more polished than their debut. Martin Birch, I think, is the producer of this, brings a kind of a more polished sound to it, but it retains that raw aggression. that the debut had, but it's got much more intricate guitar work on it, I think. Rothschild is on here. That's a new wave of British heavy metal classic. Killers is a fantastic song. It's menacing, high energy. More about that song later on. Murders in the Rue Morgue, fast-paced storytelling with like twin guitar harmonies. There's an instrumental on here called Genghis Khan, which is really, really good. Shows these guys can really play as well. Fantastic stuff. This is, yeah, it's a more focused album than their debut, and it marks the last appearance of their singer Paul Di'Anno. But I think he brought a vocal grit which really defined early Maiden. I think this is a fantastic album. But the album that just edges it for me in terms of my favourite is the first one I ever bought by them, which was 1980's Debut. I love this album. Paul Di'Anno, Steve Harris, Dave Murray, Clive Burr, but Dennis Stratton on this one, no Adrian Smith. Great album. This is the debut that introduced a kind of, you know, the Iron Maiden raw. And I know Steve Harris doesn't like this idea, but this kind of punk-inspired take on heavy metal. Production is quite rough, but I think it really adds an energy and an originality to the sound of this album. The opening track, Prowler, is fantastic. It's got a brilliant, gritty vibe to it. It's got wah-wah guitar on it as well, which you don't get much in Iron Maiden. It's fantastic. Phantom the Opera is a progressive metal masterpiece. Brilliant. Blends complexity and melody. It's fantastic. Running Free, great song. Brilliant anthem. Remember Tomorrow, quite an eerie kind of almost ballady thing. Charlotte the Harlot. Iron Maiden, live staple for years, got a killer riff, got unrelenting energy. This is a great debut that I think hints at the potential that this band had. Yeah, sure, the next 4 albums are technically much better than this, but the energy of this, and I think the reason for that is Paul Di'Anno. He brings a kind of an edgy vocal delivery to this, and that alongside the raw production gives this album a really raw charm. Yes, it's rough around the edges, of course, but I think it's an essential rock album, and it's certainly right up there with On Through the Night and Diamond Head's album in terms of being quintessential new wave of British heavy metal. Okay, let's think about my 5 favourite songs. In number 5th place is a song I actually don't have a physical copy of. It's from 1992's Fear of the Dark, and it's the title track. It's a fantastic song. I think it's their 10th album, something like that. It's such a kind of enduring, almost atmospheric kind of song. It's quite long. It's about 8 minutes, I think, and it's this dynamic journey through kind of, it's got eerie sections to it. It's got explosive heavy metal sections to it, and it opens with this really good melodic riff that really sets the mood for the song, and then the full band kicks in, and it just transitions into just this brilliant kind of Maiden galloping riff, powerful drums, those soaring vocals from Bruce Dickinson, and it's got those tempo shifts that they're really famous for, those dynamic changes, and they're just beautifully done, and it creates a real ebb and flow through the song. Now the lyrics deal with the kind of the primal, almost childlike fear of the dark and the sensation of being watched or followed alone, and when you're alone in the dark. And I think what Bruce Dickinson does, he as I said earlier, he brings this kind of theatre to songs, this emotion. You can feel the tension in Fear of the Dark in every line, and I think it really showcases the band at their absolute creative peak in the early 90s, and it's rightfully considered one of their best post-80s songs. Absolute heavy metal classic, atmospheric, thrilling, timeless. I love it. At number 4, I've gone with the opening song from their debut from 1980, Prowler. Absolutely tremendous song. I remember seeing them do this live. I saw them on the Killers tour in Bournemouth in 1980. Was it 81? I saw them at Reading in 1980 as well, and they played Prowler. Fantastic. It's a real statement of intent. It's fast, it's aggressive, it's full of attitude, and it immediately showcases the band's kind of blend at the time anyway of that kind of heavy metal precision, if you like, but also that punk energy. And I know Steve Harris doesn't like that punk kind of link. The opening riff is brilliant, really sets the tone. It's got that wah-wah guitar, it's got galloping bass line, fantastic. Dave Murray, I think it's Dave Murray who does the solo on it. He's got such a fluid melodic style, and on Prowler really comes to the fore. It depicts a character, kind of a sleazy voyeuristic character, and it's a theme that really fits the kind of the early kind of sound of Iron Maiden, which was kind of streety and gritty, and there's a dark, almost predatory vibe to Prowler, which which really adds to the kind of edgy feel of the song. Paul Di'Anno on it is fantastic. It's raspy and snarling, his vocal. It's fantastic. It's really, really good. It was a fan favourite during the early years. I think it's just a brilliant song. Features, I think, right up there with some of the best new wave of British heavy metal songs. It was also on the Soundhouse tapes, which I saw recently for £200 at Bristol Record Fair. Amazing. I did know someone who had that. I wonder if they've sold it. But anyway, Prowler was on that, and I think it's a new wave of British heavy metal classic. I think it's brilliant. Okay, and number 3 is also on this album, and it's the one track that closes off side 1. It's called Phantom of the Opera. I think it's one of the most ambitious and groundbreaking tracks from this album, without a doubt. It's a brilliant, brilliant track. Clocks in at about 7 minutes, I think, and it blends, as lots of Iron Maiden does, blends aggression with kind of progressive metal complexity. And I think it's a real standout track of the early new wave of British heavy metal scene. As lots of songs are, it's written by Steve Harris, and it's inspired by Gaston Leroux's novel The Phantom of the Opera, which is obviously about a tragic story of this deformed phantom who falls in love with a woman that he can't have. And it's a song that it just perfectly showcases their kind of, again, their epic storytelling. Steve Harris was fantastic at that, but brilliant musicianship and a real relentless energy. It has this galloping riff, as lots of Iron Maiden stuff has, which immediately commands attention. Fantastic song. It's got lots of distinct sections. It's got kind of frantic riffing. It's got haunting kind of atmospheric breaks. It just shows their kind of very early progressive kind of tendencies, and I think it's probably one of the first true progressive metal songs, possibly, but I think it's absolutely brilliant. At number 2, I've gone with the title track from this album, Killers from 1981. I think the title track is fantastic. It's aggressive, it's atmospheric. It's written by Steve Harris. It showcases their growing sophistication, blending that melody with that power. And Dave Murray and Adrian Smith are just brilliant. It's like there's a hypnotic kind of melody to this, and it creates this really foreboding kind of atmosphere. It's brilliant. Steve Harris, guess what? He delivers a galloping bass line in this. Would you believe it? The lyrics are told from the perspective of a cold-blooded killer. Lyrics aren't great, if I'm really honest, but that vivid kind of imagery, that sinister kind of tone that killers have, I think makes it one of Maiden's darkest early songs, showcasing, I think, their ability to really tell a story. The version I do love of it, actually, and I don't generally include live stuff on Favourite 5 because live albums probably would dominate, but the version of it on here, Maiden Japan, is a brilliant version. It's fantastic. I love that. That's really worth getting hold of. But that's my second favourite. My favourite song by Iron Maiden, though, is from this album. It closes the album. One of the greatest closers of any album. It's a fantastic song. Hallowed Be Thy Name. From the album Number of the Beast from 82, widely regarded as their magnus opus, and rightfully so. It's the centrepiece of this album, but I think it's the centrepiece of their entire career. It's a masterclass in metal songwriting. It's theatrical, it's powerful, it's emotional. It starts with this kind of sombre, slow intro. It's got really haunting guitars, a tolling bell. It perfectly sets the scene, I think, for a story about a man facing execution, and then the tempo gradually builds. It layers in drums, it's got harmonised guitars, it's got that bass kind of sound to it that was so indicative of all Iron Maiden stuff, and then it just explodes into this Iron Maiden gallop territory. It's about 7.5 minutes long, I think, and it's brilliant live, and it constantly kind of evolves and shifts. Different time signature changes. The guitar work from Smith and Murray on here is fantastic. Brilliant. The lyrics are about a story of a man awaiting execution, contemplating fate and afterlife and death. And so it's poetic, it's introspective. And Bruce Dickinson, this is his first album, obviously, his vocal delivery on that track is full of drama, power, nuance. And by the time he's belting out "Hallowed Be Thy Name," it's just like an epic climax to a tragic play. It's a bloody masterpiece. It's brilliant. This song is often cited in the kind of greatest heavy metal songs of all time, and I can understand why. It perfectly encapsulates everything that Iron Maiden stands for. Complex compositions, storytelling, musical virtuosity. It's got the lot and is my favourite Maiden song. So there you go, my favourite albums and my favourite songs. Tell me what yours are. Tell me what your thoughts are about this band in the comments below, and I'm sure I'll be back sometime with another video. Cheers, take care, thanks.